Okay, you're live.
You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEG Talk Radio.com. Click live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I'm Dr. Wanzo, your show host of Mind Matters for the next 75 minutes. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG _talk _radio and at WCEG Network. Unlike number 45, I had to say that. Last but not least, disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and guests and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Good evening again and welcome to Mind Matters, where we discuss relevant mental health issues. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm a psychiatrist. I've been practicing in Atlanta for, well, this year will be 30 years. Ooh. Our guest co-host is Norman Carter Jr. Norm is a retired Philadelphia police corporal. He's written a very informative book, The Long Blue Walk, My Journey as a Philly Cop. It's available on Amazon. He also hosts his own show on WCEG, Issues and Answers on Monday. Hi, Norm.
Hello there. Glad to be with you, and thanks for the humor.
So we welcome you to this, our first show of 2021. Our topic, Capitol Insurrection, the mental health impact. Again, Capitol Insurrection, the mental health impact. We were all euphoric that a notorious 2020 was ending and a 2021 with hope was ushered in. Nothing could be as horrific as 2020, but exactly 1 week ago, that hope was shattered. White supremacists, terrorists, Trump supporters stormed the United States Capitol building. I watched with anger, with tears streaming down my eyes, and disbelief at what I was witnessing. I could hardly believe my eyes. A coup, an insurrection. It was a racist attempt to overturn the results of a legitimate election where African Americans had turned out in droves to vote. Armed, angry mobs wielding bats, sticks, bashing in windows and doors, scaling walls, beating officers, looting and ransacking offices. They carried Confederate flags. They smeared feces and urine. They planted pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC. They beat officers with wrenches, pipes. One is losing his eyesight. They hung a noose on Capitol Hill with chants of killing Pence, Schumer, and Pelosi. They stated that they came for war. An officer was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. Another was beaten with a US flagpole. The officers were hit with bear spray, pushed downstairs, trampled by the mob. 6 people are dead. 3 House Democrats now have COVID, believed to have been contracted during the time that they were sequestered with several Republicans, including the newly elected QAnon woman from Georgia, who refused to wear a damn mask. The President of the United States incited the violence at a rally with lies stating, we won this election by a landslide. For years, Democrats have gotten away with election fraud. Democrats attempted the most brazen and outrageous election theft. Our current election was so corrupt. It was more corrupt in the history of this country that we've ever seen. He said, we've never seen anything like it. We're going to walk down to the Capitol. You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. He told them to fight like hell. The month before, he had told them to show up in DC, and he said, it will be wild. Then the president sat back and gleefully watched it all on TV, refusing to call out the National Guard. Last year, several times on this very show, I quoted the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, written by 37 mental health professionals. I quote from the book again. Donald Trump is a profound danger to Americans and the rest of the world. He will remain a profound danger until he is no longer president. He has proven time and again he is unfit for duty. This book was written in 2017. Just like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And now just today, he's been impeached for a second time. Hallelujah. So Norm, any thoughts, reactions?
I tell you, it's a crazy time. It's the day that the insurrection happened, January 6th. I watched his speech, the initial speech. Mm-hmm. And I immediately went out on Facebook and I said, is this man trying to incite a riot? This is before anything even happened, just by his words alone. Mm-hmm. Still, it was amazing that an hour later, or less than an hour later, the assault on the Capitol began. Mm-hmm. And to see people just storming the building and beating police officers, and as a former police officer, that really struck me. And these were supposed to be your law and order people.
Yeah, but Blue Lives Matter.
Yes. And it was very, 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 very sad to see. And this has never, ever happened in America before. Mm-hmm. And it's annoying, it's irritating. Mm-hmm. In fact, it is the pinnacle of ignorance for people to compare what happened in Washington, D.C. on January 6th to anything that the Black Lives Matter movement has done.
Right. That's what some of the people today, when they were presenting, they were trying to compare the two.
Yeah, they're not equal. They're totally not equal. I don't ever recall any Black Lives Matter people killing police officers, mm-hmm. or killing anybody, mm-hmm. for that matter. I don't recall just a lot of the nonsense. And we've even here in Atlanta, what we found out is that during these Black Lives Matter protests, that the people who were doing the destruction had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. They were from other groups. The classic example was the burning down of the Wendy's. Mm-hmm. Those weren't Black Lives Matter people. In fact, they were white. It's just sad. And this was all orchestrated by, as you quoted earlier, the racist in chief, Donald J. Trump. This is what he wanted. There are reports that he was happy with it as the Capitol was being breached, mm-hmm. and police officers were being beaten, and everyone in the Senate and Congress was in fear of their lives. He was not only enjoying it, he refused to authorize the National Guard to come in. This was even while members of his own party were calling him on the phone, saying that we need help, we're in danger. He ignored them.
He said,
Now,
you're special and I love you. You heard that when he said, you're
yes,
special and I love you?
yes,
Oh my
yes.
God.
How do we equivocate that with the Black Lives Matter movement? How do you do that? And they want to demonize Democrats because they said Democrats were permissive and didn't say anything about it. Well, there was no Democrat in the White House. There was no Democrat in the White House. There was no Democrat telling them, well, we're going to fight and we're going to do this and we're going to attack politicians and we're going to attack police officers because you're taking away your country. That never happened. So it's very, very upsetting. It's still upsetting to me, and in fact, to anyone who loves this country.
Did you see they arrested some police officers who were there part of the demonstration?
Yes, yes. I know we had one police officer in my home city of Philadelphia who was suspended. He hasn't been arrested yet, but he was identified as one of the people who breached the Capitol building. So and I think it's more or less factual now that you had a police officer inside who said that police officers were flashing their badges in order to get past security to get in. And that to me indicates a conspiracy that this was practiced and planned, and it was planned well beforehand.
I heard that some of the representatives have actually given people tours beforehand.
Yes,
They've given
yes.
tours and maps.
I think one of the things that got my attention was there is a report of an official in the White House who has a nondescript office. He has no signs on his door. It's not anywhere near in a public area. And these insurrectionists went right to his door and called his name. And for them to know that, they had to have inside information because his office is not something that the public would know about or should know about. So yes, I don't think that I think when the FBI investigation is done, there are going to be several. Well, I know they suspended, I think 15 Capitol Police.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's several of them were suspended, and or is it two suspended? 15 are under serious investigation. That's what it is.
Yeah, I've seen articles about how the police are being infiltrated by militias and white supremacist group and those types. And so I don't know to what extent, that is happening. I'm really concerned to what extent, is that an issue?
That's old news. I know in Philadelphia, and most of my experience is in Philadelphia. I think it was a couple of years ago. They found a police officer who had a Nazi tattoo on his arm. He was a member of one of these neo-Nazis organizations, and he had the tattoo on his arm, and it was summertime, so he was wearing short sleeve shirts. So it was seen. So he was fired. Yeah, but I mean, there are others who are smarter than he, who are undercover, and that's throughout my career. We knew that were police officers who were members of the KKK.
Wow.
The perfect example that we can talk about is the way back in Mississippi. The two white guys and the black young college student.
Cheney, Schwerner.
Yes.
Pittman, yeah.
Yes. And the police were involved in that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a long history of police being involved in these racist, violent racist organizations.
I saw, I don't know what state he was in, but in some city, there was a police officer who was supposed to be head of the diversity unit, and he turned out to be one of the guys who participated in the march, and he's supposed to be head of the diversity.
Amazing. I think that we're going to find a lot of people government officials. I think recently they found that there was someone who was the son of a judge
Mhm.
who participated
Yes, yes,
in
from
this.
Brooklyn, from
Yeah,
Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot that's going to come out, and if there's a good thing about it, these people are going to be exposed.
Mm.
The FBI has opened 170 investigations so far, and they said there are going to be hundreds more.
Wow. Wow.
What the people didn't realize is that there are cameras all over inside the inside the Capitol, outside the Capitol, and with facial recognition,
Mhm.
yeah, there are going to be a lot more people.
I mean, all these people, that guy with the horns and the fur, who
Oh,
is now in jail getting his organic diet.
yeah, yeah. These are, as Hillary Clinton once quoted, the our deplorables. Uh,
Mhm.
these
Yeah,
are people they're all sociopaths,
exactly.
and uh, the majority of those people who were there at that insurrection are racist. They're
Exactly.
anti-Semitic. They're
Yes.
anti-black, and
Mhm.
to think that I saw so many black people in
Yeah,
that
now that
mob.
is like wild. Like one of the leaders, that guy, the Ali Alexander of what's that movement? The Ali Alexander, the one that looked
Al-
like Sammy Davis.
Yeah, he's he's actually born in Egypt.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's 36 years old, uh, and this is where the hypocrisy comes in. His actual name is Ali Akbar.
Oh.
He changed his name when he became an activist. And
Hmm.
here's the hypocrisy. President Obama took a ton of abuse
Mhm.
because his middle name is Hussein.
Yes.
And Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity made it
Mhm.
a point that when he was running for office, they emphasized his name was Hussein. So
Yes.
now,
Yes.
now you have the man who's leading this young 36-year-old who's leading these Republicans and
Mhm.
these races by the nose, and his middle name is Akbar. So he changed it because he wanted to make it seem like he was one of the boys. He's,
Wow.
he's tried to pass himself off as black,
Mm.
but yeah, the Sammy Davis lookalike is not black.
Wow. But he also had some congressmen who he said helped him to organize
Well, there are
the.
three. There are three we know of. Yes,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah, there are three we know of, and I'm sure that they have comrades
Mhm.
uh, who are in Congress and the Senate
Mhm.
who are
Oh,
also involved.
I want to mention this post that I saw on Facebook, or people they've been out. This one post that someone had. It said, now for all those people who are getting arrested, they now understand why their grandparents wore hoods.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah, true, true. There's a reason.
That they
There's a
wore hoods.
reason. Not only did they not wear hoods, they didn't wear masks.
Yes.
So I look for a major outbreak of COVID-19 among those wonderful people.
Right, because those, like I said, three House Democrats. One of the women is a cancer survivor. She's in her 70s, African American woman. I forgot what state she's from, but she's a cancer survivor, and she was in there. And like I said, those Republicans refusing to wear masks, and she now is positive for COVID. Three Democrats are not positive.
I don't know whether I know they showed it once the first day, but it brought tears to my eyes. There was a black woman who was in the congresswoman.
Mhm.
She was up in the balcony
Mm.
and she was praying like I've never seen
Oh,
anyone
really?
pray. She
Okay.
was emphatically praying.
Hmm.
Uh, and it brought tears to my eyes. This woman thought she was going to die.
Hmm.
And I mean, she was very animated in her praying, and they haven't shown that since
Oh,
then.
where you
But
saw it? Where did you see it?
it was on TV. It was on
Oh,
CNN.
okay.
Yeah, it was. This was a black woman up in the balcony,
Wow.
and she was hunched over,
Mhm.
hiding behind the riser of the balcony, trying
Wow.
to hide there. But she was emphatically praying, and to be that fearful, it's just, it's, I mean, most people don't know fear like that.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, and you know, a lot of his supporters are denying it. Like they're saying, I had this one woman, who, my ex-Facebook friend, the one who would constantly participate, you know, have dialogue back and forth. Well, she kept saying that it was Antifa, it wasn't Trump supporters, and we went, you know, back and forth with that. And then she was really outraged when they censored all of his social media. And at that point, this was I posted on Facebook book. I said, this is no longer an issue of agreeing to disagree. We have basic differences where there's a lack of human decency, respect, character, and morals, and I'm going to unfriend you, and I did.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really think it's a moral issue.
Yes.
It's a huge moral issue to see that,
Mhm.
to know, first of all, what this country stands for. And this country is flawed. It has its flaws.
Mhm.
But to see that and to see this attack on everything, because I'm telling you, I wanted to talk a little bit about the mob in a minute here, because we talked about that on one of our programs.
Mhm.
But when they we're going to breach the inner chambers of the Capitol,
Mhm.
they weren't just going to kill Democrats. They were going to kill anybody in there.
Exactly. Yes.
And that includes the Republicans who are now defending them, who are now defending this president. They were going to, it was a mob. It was a murderous mob, and their purpose was to do just what the president wanted, and that was to kill people.
Yes.
Because they were that determined for Trump to hold on to power, as if that's why they targeted Nancy Pelosi, who was third in line. They targeted Mike Pence, who was the vice president. Their purpose was to go right up the line and kill everyone who was in line to succeed Donald Trump.
Right. But you see, now they're talking about coming back inauguration weekend with plans to kill people. I saw today Airbnb canceled all DC reservations, so there'll be no Airbnb reservations in DC this weekend. They're talking about bringing out at least 20,000 National Guard to DC for this.
Yeah, I was just prior to the program, I was watching the news, and right now there are more National Guard in Washington, D.C. than there are in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran combined.
Wow. They're talking about up to 20,000 National Guards, because they're talking about having 4,000 of their people surround the perimeter, right? And they're talking about violence in all the different state capitals.
Yeah. In fact, they as of about 5:30, there were National Guard inside the Capitol building being oriented, and from what they tell me, that on almost every corner in Washington D.C., especially in the downtown area. I mean, Washington D.C. is not really that big, but they're National Guard on every corner now. And also keep in mind, and I said this the first day, is that they are also alert for people doing what happened to the Pentagon with airplanes.
Oh, yes.
So they're looking out for that also, because that was part of the information that they uncovered, is that these people that everything is on the table for them.
Wow, that is so scary.
Everything.
Wow. I want to talk a little bit about the mental health impact. So
Yes.
one of the biggest mental health impacts is for African Americans, it's what we call racial trauma. So with everything that's been going on with the pandemic, disproportionately affecting people of color, with all the police killings in the past year, and then adding this on top of it, it's just like, you know, just almost like reaching a boiling point. So what was really difficult was noticing the racial disparities, how when Black Lives Matter people were out protesting, they had all the armed guards and used rubber bullets, mace, everything. During the Black Lives Matter event in DC in June 1st of 2020, 316 people were arrested. for this insurrection in DC, 61. And people are
Yeah.
angry about that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, there were thousands, and I mean, they have on camera Capitol Police escorting people out of the building. They came in.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying, why don't they arrest them then in the spot? Why don't they arrest them? They let them go.
And you know, there's some other issues. I mean, you had, which I didn't understand, and it's on. They keep showing it on TV. You had a police officer being pummeled by people with poles and sticks and flagpoles. He was laying face up on an alcove, and these people were reaching out and hitting him with sticks, clubs.
I saw that.
Where were the other police officers? Because I'm telling you, if you can shoot an unarmed black man in the back, that you have a hold of his shirt, and you can shoot an unarmed black man and that be justified, why can't you shoot people who are attempting to kill a police officer and you're standing right there? There had to be other police officers who were there, who were near him, and they let those people do that.
Right. The one they bludgeoned with the fire extinguisher.
He's dead.
Right. And then another guy is about to lose his eye because he was beaten, I think, with a wrench or something. It's about to lose his. And I'm sorry, like that woman who was about to jump through the window. I'm sorry, I have no sympathy.
None.
Yeah,
None.
I don't have any sympathy.
Her friends are making excuses for her. And what was the one excuse? Oh, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, she wasn't in the wrong place for her. She was in the right place. And you could have said she was pushed by the crowd, but no crowd was pushing her through that window.
Exactly.
She was going through that window. And those people inside, yes, they had a responsibility, not just to protect themselves, but to protect the people who are elected leaders. And and you know, we could talk about the black Capitol security guard that we saw running up the stairs. He was actually a hero because he saved lives.
Yes. Because initially I thought he was just running away, but then they pointed out that he was trying to act as a decoy to divert them away from the Senate floor.
Yes, absolutely. And he showed a remarkable amount of restraint. I mean, going by the standards that courts and police departments have established, and it's not right. I'm not justifying it. But as those people were running up the steps after him, bent on murder, they had already committed at least one murder by that time, he was justified in shooting them. That's according to the standards that a lot of police departments are going by now. It's not legal. It's immoral because he still was able to flee. And according to the law, you're supposed to flee to the furthest wall. So he still had room to run. But you know, and I'm equating that with the shooting of unarmed black people for no reason. I mean, you shoot somebody 7 times in the back and he has no weapon. He's just trying to walk away. And now you have people charging a police officer. You have people pummeling and beating a police officer, and no one shot, except for the one woman who was a military veteran. But they found out that there were a lot of military veterans involved in this.
Right. And you know, if it had been us, you know what would have happened.
Oh, you absolutely know.
Differently.
Yeah.
If it had been us, you know what would have happened.
And the officer being crushed. I sat here at a conversation yesterday with my wife, and I said, here was a guy who was being slowly killed, slowly asphyxiated, and nobody thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I better shoot at least one person who's pushing him. Maybe I can get the crowd off of him. But they didn't. They allowed it to happen. Wow. And that, I just don't understand. Wow. I just don't understand. And I'm not somebody who walks around and wants everybody shot. I don't want anybody to get that I've been very critical of a lot of the shootings that have been going on, especially involved with white police officers shooting unarmed black people, especially black people who do not pose a threat to them at all.
Can you imagine the scenario if it had been black people? Can you imagine what would have happened?
Yeah, there would have been dead bodies all over the place.
Yes.
And we know that it's a fact.
Even Biden acknowledged that.
Yes.
Biden acknowledged that. He did.
And one of the things I wanted to, if I can just take a second, because we had a program on mob psychology. And one of the things was that people, and I'm not going to read the statement because it's taking a couple of minutes, but is that people in a mob tend to do things that they would not normally do alone. And there's no doubt in my mind that a good part of those people who were in that mob alone by themselves would not have engaged in the actions that they did. But the problem is that they put themselves there. They willingly went there, and they were actually acting out on some of the wishes of the President of the United States.
Oh, look who's here.
I still recognize that man.
Officer Paul. Oh.
I'm sure he has some insight on this, particularly about this we're talking.
Are you on mute, Paul? Hello?
I'm sorry. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Now we can.
Hey, Doc. Hey, Norm.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, WCEG family.
Happy New Year.
I'm sorry, people. As you can tell, I'm out in the field. So I don't have the privilege of being able to control the environment I'm in or the situation that's going on, so it may be a little loud.
Okay.
So are you out trying to prevent insurrections?
I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. This is whoever thought you'll see the day when its capital is being stormed by America's first domestic terrorists.
Yes.
And I unfortunately, working 12-hour shifts, dealing with the possibility of what could happen. I've got a little bit of all of us at the point now. We are a little concerned that this may turn out to be the real deal in the long run. So I don't want to see another civil war. So, well, what do you think, Norm? You think it just may turn into something?
I think that we may see a little bit more than what we're expecting. And one of the things that I've been saying for the past couple of weeks is that people who talk about we want a civil war have no idea what war really is. They have no idea, because war is not walking around with your AR-15 looking like you're John Wayne. No, war is people shooting back at you, shooting at your family, maiming you for life if you're lucky enough to live. War is nasty. War is smelly, and it just doesn't stop. You don't do something today on Thursday and the war is over on Saturday. That doesn't happen that way.
Wow.
So yeah. So civil war. Those people champion civil war don't know what they're talking about.
Well, listen, I can tell you this, and I'm sorry, it's going to be I'm out in the field right now. We're on detail, and I'm amazed at how many people are arming themselves for what they consider to be a very violent conflict, which makes no sense. But at the same time, I'm in a situation where we're seeing people literally stocking up like they got a bunker they need to secure themselves in. What it's going to be like, I have absolutely no idea. But I do know the fear that's been placed in most people on both sides, that if you don't prepare yourself for battle now, unfortunately, you may be a victim of this situation tomorrow. Fear is right now controlling everything in America. And I don't think it's going to end with the demise of Donald Trump. I think it just may be getting beginning. because Trump opened the door or a Pandora's box
Yes,
that
yes.
no one ever imagined that in 2021 this could be mainstream America.
Exactly.
But just keep in mind, I'm gonna have to leave. But just keep in mind, the U.S. Capitol have not been sieged like this since the War of 1812.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's significant when you think about it's not a foreign power that did it, it's our very own we the people.
Right. They calling them rioters and protesters, but they're domestic terrorists. They're domestic terrorists.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, domestic terrorism, keep in mind, the years we've been tracking those, unfortunately, Homeland Security, FBI, Secret Service, and NSA failed to really, truly respond to acts of domestic terrorism since Ruby Ridge, since Waco, and since the bombing of the Oklahoma City.
And why? Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Because domestic terrorism look like the very individuals who are responsible for protecting us. When you see white America rise up against white America, it's something for all colored people to sit back and look at and go, wow, they're attacking each other viciously, but once they are done, keep in mind who they're going to turn their attention back to. So if they do that to each other, imagine what they do to us.
Wow. What they are doing to us, yes.
I was just going to add. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. My rotation got to roll out with my team right now.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on.
Great insight.
All again. Yeah, staying safe. I love you all, especially my WCEG family. And don't allow the fear of these streets keep you from living your life.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
I just wanted to add that FBI Director Wray came out in July and said that white supremacy was the greatest threat to domestic terrorism. Were the domestic terrorists that we should all worry about. Were our greatest threat of domestic terrorism, the white supremacy groups. And these are the same people who Donald Trump said when he was campaigning, stand by and stand down.
Yes.
So that's alarming.
Right.
And as Paul just said, this is madness. But you have to be careful that you reap, and I'm talking collectively, you reap what you sow. And this country embraced Donald Trump and had no idea that the cesspool that it was jumping into. And it's sad, and more people are going to lose their lives needlessly. And it's sad, and this is not only a problem with us confronting domestic terrorism, but it's also the opportune time for people such as Russia and China to take advantage of what's going on here and do whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
Because we're fighting internally, and we're going to be fighting externally.
You see, General Honoré, the one who headed the Katrina effort, he said that there was definitely complicity in all of this. I'm not sure who all was involved, but he said there's definitely complicity in what happened.
Well, we already know 3 congresspersons.
Right.
We already know 3. That's been exposed. We don't know how many more. And judging by the fact that these people stood up and even after the siege were against approving the election, there were 100 and some odd congresspersons. There's a problem. There's a huge problem. And for as far as this impeachment that's just come about, it should have been near universal
Yes,
near universal cause for his impeachment.
exactly. After the first impeachment, I forgot who the congresswoman was, but she's, oh, he's learned his lesson. No,
Yes, yes, yes,
he's learned his lesson,
yes,
but no. Like
yes.
that book said, he is dangerous. It will be dangerous until he's removed from office, and then even then he'll probably still have some dangers. Although his influence is lessening with his loss of social media, with all the different. You see that New York completely pulled all business contacts with them because he's got several businesses in New York that he operates with the city, and they pulled out all the contracts with him in New York.
There's another danger here, and a gentleman was interviewed on CNN last night, and what he said, he was a Republican, and he said that a lot of the people that other Republicans that he's talked to are afraid to for their lives and the lives of their family by coming out against Donald Trump and approving the impeachment, because they feel that their lives would be in danger and the lives of their family would be in danger. Now, equivocate that with the Black Lives Matter movement. You can't do it. It's just insanity, but it's dangerous insanity that you have people who are elected leaders who are afraid to make a moral decision because they fear for their lives. That has never, ever happened in this country before. Never. Not during the civil rights movement. No, not at all. And there was a lot of violence that was associated with that. But here you have elected officials who are afraid to do the morally correct thing because they're worried about their lives.
Exactly.
That's
There's some that just blatant, like the woman from Georgia. She's a QAnon conspiracy theorist. I mean, she's blatant with it.
yes. She's from upstate. What is her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't believe that the plane actually fell on the Pentagon. That's insanity. These people from this QAnon,
yes,
they are the bastard child of the old Tea Party. It's sad. What things that started out small have grown big, and then Donald Trump came in, and he just threw gasoline on it all.
Yes.
And now the fire is out of control.
Yes. Wow.
And you have over between 14 and 20,000 troops right now in the nation's capital.
And they said they're going to have at least 20,000 National Guard there. Yeah.
Yes, that's and we're not talking about and as one who has been involved in security before. We may talk about 20,000 National Guard, but I'm telling you that the Secret Service and the FBI, they're pulling out all stops. And that includes not only what's going on the ground, but what's going on in the air.
Wow.
And that's a problem. I think they're going to they're probably going to widen, because there's a zone that airplanes are not allowed to fly around. And I'm sure that they are widening that zone in Washington, D.C., and that any plane that comes through that area will likely be shot down.
Wow.
That is my gut feeling. That's my gut feeling. That's not anything that I know officially. Nothing has been put out there, but this is such a dangerous time that I can see that happening.
Yeah, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And some of the websites, I still see some people who are talking about they want to go and see, Sora Kamala Harris sworn in. I can't believe some people are still saying that, because I don't know how they're going to even allow them to go there. But some people are still saying they want to go see her sworn in. I'm like, no.
Yeah, you won't be able to get close. You won't even be able to get anywhere near the Capitol. And yeah, Kamala would be right. She'd be okay with you watching her on television.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was there for the Obama, his first swearing in there in front of the reflecting pool. I mean, that was a very emotional time. So I wish I could be there for Kamala, but I will definitely watch it on TV.
Yeah, I'll never forget Jesse Jackson shedding tears when Obama, once it was announced that Obama was elected.
Yeah.
Big moment. Big moment. But I think that, and you know, I think the mental damage that's going to be done to our young people, because our young people, the ones who are coming up and are impressionable, our teenagers especially, they're going to get the impression that this is the way this country works. And the fear factor. I mean, people are genuinely afraid.
Yes.
And I think Officer Paul, you know, came out with, I mean, he's right there on the ground in the midst of it, and probably privy to information that we don't have. And you know, telling us that people are not only arming themselves, but fortifying their residences, you know, trying to make their residences bunkers. That's insanity. This is America.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember back in the 50s when they were worried about Russia dropping a bomb on us.
I don't know
That,
I don't know if you're in that era, but I remember us having to go underneath our desks during the drills.
Yes.
And sometimes in the basement when we had what were those shelters called? It was stocked with food and stuff. We had to have those drills. During the time of Khrushchev.
Dropping.
We will bury you. I remember that.
Drop and cover.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Were you during that time? I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm a little bit ahead of you, Doctor.
Okay. Okay.
But thanks for the question.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a very scary time. And this is really more up close than that is. I remember that time clearly. I mean, there was really fear that we were on the edge of another world war and that Russia was going to be the one dropping bombs on us. And now we have to worry about people driving past us in pickup trucks. In my area where I live, there's a lot of that. There are a lot of, this is a heavy Trump area, just a few, not only 2 miles away from where I live. It's heavily Trump, heavy Trump area.
I live in Buckhead. It's heavy Trump too in Buckhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary because these people are not just supporters. A lot of them are violent supporters of Trump, and living so close to that area. And I know that some of these people are fanatics.
Yes.
You know, I'm worried about people just, you know, coming out with an AR-15 and driving through my subdivision and just firing bullets because we're predominantly Black up here in this particular little enclave.
But people can legally buy AR-15s.
Yes.
And what about AK-47s?
Yes.
You can buy all that legally?
Yes.
Wow.
They buy them, and then there are kits that you can purchase to make them, because when you buy them, it's illegal to sell automatic weapons. But what they do is that they can go online and buy little kits underground, and those kits can change them from semi-automatic to automatic.
I saw something about 3D weapons. They're selling 3D weapons.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Some people are making their own.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's plastic or 3D.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it's crazy. Well, you know, your Glock is a lot of that is plastic, except the barrel, and then it's made out of a very I forget what type of material it is. It's metal, but it's a very special type of metal. But the gun is primarily plastic. So yeah,
Mhm.
those things are being done,
Mhm.
and these are dangerous people.
Mhm.
Fanatics are dangerous people, and the president has brought those out,
Yes.
and this goes back to uh, how easily we can um, some people like Adolf Hitler can reach out, and by virtue of their speech and their rhetoric
Mhm.
uh, and manner of speaking, they can influence people who are not critical thinkers.
Mhm.
And there are, we have masses of people who do not think critically,
Yes. Yes.
and and that's scary. The people who don't ask questions, they hear something that sounds good. Okay, well, let's do this.
Yeah, like 70
Uh,
million people voted for him.
yes,
Can you believe that? 70 million.
yeah. Despite, and who was it? I read a saying here recently from Sinclair. I think it was Upton Sinclair,
Mm,
who said that fascism will come to America
mm,
wrapped in a flag by
mm,
people carrying a cross.
wow.
And that's what we're seeing.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
just what we're seeing here right now. These all of these flags
Mhm,
that they have nothing to do with America.
mhm.
How can you say that when you have people walking around in that mob with Auschwitz T-shirts?
Yes, yeah. They
Yeah,
arrested that guy too. Camp
yeah,
Auschwitz. His shirt
yes,
said, yeah, and so he was arrested.
yeah.
He's,
These are dangerous,
mhm,
dangerous
mhm,
people, because these when I see someone who's walking around with an Auschwitz T-shirt, what
mhm.
that says to me is that person is in favor of killing every Jew that they find.
Exactly.
They also have no love for black people.
Exactly. I have
Uh,
this one patient who's Caucasian, and I'm doing telepsychiatry. We had a long session on Saturday, and he's really distressed because he's had to cut all ties with his family. He grew up in South Carolina. He's Caucasian male, but he's his whole family are Trump supporters and own
mhm.
guns and things like that. And they invited to discussions and arguments, and he's had to cut ties with his family. And that's really, sad for him that he had completely cut ties with his family.
That's
Yeah.
sad.
Mhm. I said,
I
well,
mean,
how'd you turn out
yeah,
normal?
yeah,
How did you turn from South Carolina? And he's the only one in his family that's normal. The rest of his family are
right.
all, pro-military, Trump, all of that. And he's not. So that's really upsetting. He's had to cut ties with his family. So he's really feels sad about that.
And this is
Mhm,
and again, and I'm going to go back to the psychology of it all. Is that uh, there are families who are being torn apart by this,
exactly like this. Yes.
and and those are things that, especially with young people in their formative years, those are things that do lifetime harm.
Hmm. Hmm.
They do lifetime harm.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm sure, you know, I heard someone say, who was it, former Defense Secretary Cohen, who says that he says, I keep hearing people say that this is not America.
Oh
This is not
yeah,
who we
yeah,
are. And he
yes,
says,
yes.
this is who we are.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes. Yeah, people say, "Oh, this is not who
Yes.
we are," but you're
Yeah.
right. This is very much who we are, and that's a denial to say that this is not who we
Yes.
are. So,
Yeah. So every time now I hear someone saying this is not who we are, I
mhm,
think about what he said just a few days ago.
mhm,
And he speaks to it from the perspective that he
mhm.
has a black wife.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yes, he
yes,
does. Yeah.
his wife is African American, and she told him about her family history and what they had to put up with.
Mhm,
And he was very emotional with what he said. And I wish he could have talked longer, but you know how they have to cut people off at a certain time.
mhm, mhm,
But yeah,
mhm,
I wish they would repeat that speech that he made
mhm.
over again,
I'm
because
gonna
it's
have to Google
relevant.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google
It's
it.
relevant, and
Mhm,
it's not. And again, it's not condemning all white people. That's crazy. And people, I know people who do that.
mhm,
That's totally wrong. It's totally erroneous. It's just that we need to condemn the people who are guilty. of doing what they do. The people who are complicit, not just the ones who are out there hanging the noose, but the ones who are telling them, "Hey, it's okay."
It starts with the president, number 45. So I'm glad, that with the impeachment and someone was saying how people are saying that some of the lawmakers were saying that this impeachment is going to further divide the country.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The country is divided. It's been divided, as former Defense Secretary Cohen said. This is what Trump has done is he's exposed it.
Yes.
He's allowed it to be exposed.
Yes.
These people have come out of their holes and
from under their rocks.
Yes. And the old saying, the South shall rise again.
Yeah.
That is very equal to make America great again.
Right. Did you see what Clarence Thomas's wife sponsored 80 buses of people to the insurrection?
I did not.
Yeah, she paid for 80 busloads of people, Clarence Thomas's wife. So I think he needs to go. He needs to go.
Well, I think the FBI is doing an investigation about who paid for all these people to stay at the hotels.
Oh, well, Clarence Thomas's wife supported 80 buses of people.
Yeah, well, these are people who are going to have to sit down in a little room with a couple of FBI agents and answer for what they did, and she will be among those people.
So I think that's reason to remove him. I don't know how you remove someone from the Supreme Court, but I think that's reason to remove him.
Well, he can be impeached.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be impeached. And or he can be shamed to the point that he'll have to go. Yeah, because if his wife was part of this movement, then she needs to go to jail with the rest of them. Yeah, and I really hope that this is not going to devolve into a situation where people are going to be arrested and then given a slap on the wrist. That would be us getting injured for the second time.
Yes.
So, I'm hoping, because the outcome of this was so severe, at least 5 people are dead because of it. And,
well, now 2 by suicide. An officer in DC suicide.
Yeah.
And an Alpharetta man who was arrested killed himself on Saturday.
Yes, that's 6. Yes, I forgot about him. So that's 6. Yeah, that's and we just talked to you. You mentioned that someone had a serious injury where they might lose their eye.
One of the police officers. Yeah, I just read that this evening. He's going to lose his eye from being beat by the insurrectionist.
That's just crazy. It's insane. I know I keep saying that, but this is the pinnacle of insanity. It's the pinnacle of mob hysteria, if you want to say that. Look at it that way. But I know I don't excuse anyone who participated in that mob just because they got caught up in the frenzy.
Exactly.
Because you put yourself there and you knew what you were getting into.
Absolutely. So, Norm, you said you have a special presentation, so go ahead.
Oh my goodness! You put me on stage here.
Okay, so you had
I do, and I hope I don't bore anyone with this. But I'll go right now. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. This is Thomas Paine, December 23rd, 1776. I quoted these words on my program on April 15th, 2020 on the WCEG Network. On my next program after that, and many times on Facebook, I stated that this president, Donald J. Trump, I'm going to call his name, would not leave office willingly. He is a tyrant who has always been unfit to lead the country. But he was able to get elected because 43 million qualified voters did not vote in 2016. The latter fact is important. Many of those 43 million qualified voters voted this election. The force of that prime example of patriotic responsibility, voting, is the reason Donald J. Trump, outgoing president and likely a future felon, will no longer misguide this country. In 1970, Gil Scott Heron warned that the revolution would not be televised. Little did he know that the insurrection would be televised. It was orchestrated and cowardly led by the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. He ordered an assault by an armed mob on the United States Capitol building while both the Senate and Congress were in a joint session to certify the results of the election that voted him out of office. Then he hid in the Oval Office, just like this draft dodger hid from military service during the Vietnam War. He did this while the vice president and his family were in the building. His actions have resulted in the death of 6 people. This includes 2 police officers. 2 police officers killed due to the law and order president and his law and order advocates, including the National Fraternal Order of Police, promoted the lie that the presidential election was stolen from him. These people are our deplorables. Hillary Clinton was correct in her description of this band of bandits, bums, and sunshine patriots who followed Trump like a Judas goat leading lambs to slaughter. Now these Trump-inspired sociopaths are campaigning for a civil war. We heard that today. These anachronists believe that they are living in 1776, fighting the Revolutionary War while carrying the Civil War's Confederate flags. All of their ilk support a racist, if not genocidal, takeover of these United States of America. We cannot allow that to happen. Several months ago, I reported an article published in the Philadelphia Inquirer and several other newspapers on Tuesday, July 19, 2016. The article was written by David Lee Preston. Without going into extensive detail, let me summarize it by saying the article detailed how repatriated Nazis emigrated to the United States, found comfort and allegiances in the Republican Party. Most of you ignored the article, those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook. I still have it. You can contact WCEG if you would like for me to send to you a copy. The planned attack on our Capitol building has placed every state capital in the country in danger. A siege on the Kentucky Capitol was recently averted on January 9th, 2020. They called themselves having a patriot rally. They were heavily armed. Who were they going to shoot? A group of armed misfits were arrested for planning to kidnap and murder the governor of Wisconsin because she disagreed with the president on COVID-19 restrictions. These people are with us. They are the underbelly of these United States that were previously suppressed in their underground warrens. Today, Donald J. Trump has called them out of their rabbit holes, made them feel important, and empowered them to support him, not in draining the swamp, but in destroying our democratic republic. They are energized. Are we energized? We need to be. These political vermin, like all pests, depend on your apathy and forgetfulness. Senator Bill Hagerty and Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Congressman David Nunes of California, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of our Georgia, and so many others are deserving of our wrath and our note-taking. Yes, America, you are known for your forgetfulness. Therefore, you must take notes in order to remember these carriers of the plague of tyranny. Take notes, America, because you must remember that sworn police officers were part of this insurrection. They flashed their badges to force their way past compliant Capitol police officers in order to gain entry into the Capitol building. You must believe that they had trial runs at this in the past. Take notes, America, because live bombs designed to kill scores of people were used in this insurrection. Thankfully, none exploded. Be forever aware that this insurrection is supported by certain legislators and facilitated by police officers came armed with Molotov cocktails and assault rifles. Take notes because far too many blindly voted Republican, not knowing they were voted for a modern day Nazi and fascist. Take notes, America, because the expectation is that you will forget. Nobel Prize winning author Sinclair Lewis warned that when fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in a flag and carrying a cross. Nikita Khrushchev, 1962, said, whether you like it or not, history is on our side. We will bury you. America, you had better take notes. You have forgotten that the red hats worn by Donald Trump supporters were symbolic of the red shirts of the post-Reconstruction era who lynched blacks who attempted to vote and became a large movement whose purpose it was to hold on to political power. America, you sucked your teeth at me when I told you that MAGA meant bringing back the old South. Now it's in your face. Make a note of that. Ignorance can be deadly.
Yes.
There are over 100 congresspersons and at least 13 senators that sympathize, if not empathize, with these insurrectionists and the president who led them. You cannot forget. You must always remember. These people are serious. They depend on your not voting them out of office. Even Black people and Jews support some of these officials. They depend on your forgiving and forgetting. It's hard to forgive law enforcement officers participating in an event that killed 2 law enforcement officers. But we can try to forgive them, but we should never forget who they are, who supported them, and who stood up and condemned these murderers and anarchists. I won't forget. WCEG won't forget. And we will do our best to ensure that you don't forget. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Oh, one thing, it was the governor of Michigan, Christie,
Okay.
somebody, yeah, but very powerful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Go.
I think that we need to continue this in the next show and dealing also with the mental health burden and impact and who knows what's going to happen between now and then. So yes. We'll have more things to talk about. So we're going to continue this in 2 weeks on part 2. And on a positive note, we didn't really get, like, as Reverend Warnock said, we didn't get to put on our celebration shoes to celebrate his victory and Asaf's victory and Stacey Abrams' efforts, who's going to be our next governor.
Yes.
She's going to be our next governor because she was robbed the first time.
Yeah, and robbed in a very close election.
Mm-hmm.
And that was orchestrated and obvious.
Right. And voter suppression and purging people from the rolls and all of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was obvious. So
right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to her. She's keeping her options open. I think that's very good. Yeah, I think
she's going to be the next governor. I think she's going to be the next governor.
Well, I don't think Kemp will be with us.
Right, she is. Yeah, she's going to be the next governor of Georgia.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, returning blue.
Yeah. So I want to thank all of our WCEG family listeners. We look forward to talking with you in 2 weeks. So Happy New Year, everybody, and have a blessed rest of the week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right.